Hello fellow Knobheads and beat people. I'm George, the Gentleman Rocker, and today I want to talk with you about my hardware setup and one thing in particular that I will add to this setup. So I will give you a roundup about my studio setup and what I will try to accomplish with it, and why I'm right now only making music with my iPad and not really with my hardware. So yeah, it's a vloggy kind of thing, but also a little bit a jack off about a new hardware. So to get my facts straight, I will go online. As you may have heard, as it's really rambling in the synth community right now, Roland has announced a new boutique synth, and this one is fully analog. And yeah, I like it. I really like it. It's called the SE-02, and I'm a fan of the boutiques. I don't have a lot of them because I don't like the other boutiques. I have one. Stay with me. I have got the TB-03, which is, yeah, Roland's digital take on the TB-303, and I really like it. It really works perfectly fine for what it does, and yeah, I like the sound of it. And the sequencer, it's okay. One thing that's really cool is they updated the software and it now has a random pattern generator kind of thing, like you did with the original 303, with removing the batteries and draining the memory and getting some random patterns. And you can do this with a shortcut, so that's nice. And yeah, they announced the SE-02, and it's built a little bit like a mini Moog, but a lot of people are referring to it as a mini Moog clone, which I don't see. So yeah, it has 3 oscillators and some stuff, but it has a lot of stuff that's not the same. For me, it's a take on this 3 oscillator mono synth trope, but with a lot of own ideas, not by Roland, but what are they called? Studio Electronics. Yeah, they do the Boomstar synths and stuff like that, Eurorack modules, I think. And I really liked the sound of the modules, but they were too expensive, and this one clocks in at $500, so that's really nice. And it has a built-in sequencer, delay effect, and 3 VCOs, stuff like that. There's an LFO. You can use the third oscillator as an LFO, like the Mini Moog, which makes sense. You can chain them together to get like polyphonic, but I don't really see it used that way in my setup. I will use it, and I have a concept that I will tell you about. I will use it mainly for arpeggiators that are running through my songs. That's what I would strive for, and that's where my notes come in. So I've planned my hardware around the idea of having a kind of band-like structure, so that I don't have to really think about every time which synth will I use for what. And it's kind of the way I work with gadget also. I have specific gadgets for pad sounds that I use, specific ones for arpeggiator lines, and I want to have a sound that is kind of similar in my songs, but can vary enough to be not the same every time. So I will buy an MPC-X as my main sequencer, as it really has cool integration for MIDI, and of course it's a sampler, which is always good, as I don't have a sampler right now. Really, I have sample player, but it doesn't work the way as a sampler does. Then I will have my bass lines, and this is where the Roland Boutique comes in, but I will not only use this one, but I have the MB33, which is a full analog 303 clone without sequencer or stuff like that, which I will send the patterns or the MIDI from the TB-03 to, so it will play the same bass line, but I will have it tuned to a deep rumbling kind of bass, so I can play with cutoff and resonance on the TB-03 and not lose the bottom fat of the bass line. So that way I will have a bass line that's running smooth and powerful through the whole song. And I can, of course, edit the settings on the MB33 if I want to get away from that. So that's my main goal. It's like a kind of sub-oscillator kind of thing, but it's not an octave lower. It plays in the same octave but stays in the bass region. Then for the mono or lead synth sounds, I will use my mono station, which is on the way, and I will do a video about that, but I've ordered it and it's on the way. And I will do a lot of videos just building up sounds and looking what to get out of it on this channel. The circuit will be used for synth and melody lines, like second melody or adding to the melody, and of course for pad sounds or like gated pad sound effects, stuff like that. And it will provide the main drums together with the MPC-X, where we'll use really compressed sounds or sample based stuff. I will look into getting some more industrial sounding sounds, like banging on really big steel doors and compressing it to make it work as sounds, to also give me a kind of signature bass sound. And I will use that and the MPC-X for that. I will use the strike fed for string sounds, obviously, and they will be backing my whole songs. So I really am using a lot of chord progression styled music, so not only one bar techno-y stuff, but chord progressions, and the strike fed will be the backing for that every time. So this will be my pad sound, and I will also use the Novation Peak sometimes for pad sounds or the circuit to add sounds to the string sounds that are not available in the strike fed, just to make it evolve a little bit more. For drums, additional drums, there will be my drum boot, which will stay nearly the raw sound that it is. I will probably have an effects chain where it runs through, but nothing to really compress it, more like building up the sound that it has, the really raw analog sound. And it will run in the background like this jungle beats in the background, something like that that you have one beat in the background that has this specific sound and is like detached from the other rhythm. And the new SE-02 will be used, as I said, for arpeggio lines, which I tend to use really often. And this will be my setup. So I will really think hard if I get other stuff, if it fits that, or if it replaces something. So I have some synthesizers laying around here that I have to sell. And it's Dreadbox Erebus, for instance, which I could use, but I don't really like. Yeah, it's not that I don't like the sound. It doesn't fit my idea of this band-like setup. This we have one sound and build songs with it. That's what I'm striving for. To build this sound with my setup and then do songs with it and not have every song sound completely different. So this is the setup I'm striving for, and I will get the mono station. It's already ordered. After that, I will probably go for the Roland SE-02, then the Peak, then the MPC-X. So I will build up my hardware, but I will not really produce stuff with it till I get the MPC-X. I have a lot of songs in my iPad that I'm working on right now and putting out. So it's not a problem with putting out songs. And I do the jam drops, as I said, exactly for that, creating stuff every other day so that I don't get out of the game, as you said. So this is my hardware setup. I have this fucking cool new announced synthesizer Love, as I really like the sound, because the SE-02 really sounds fat and aggressive, which both is really cool. And I really like the ease that it goes into this aggressive but not totally bonkers sound. So I think that you could really use it for some really cool arpeggios that can crank it up a little bit, which is fine with me, and I really like it. And it has a really broad sound, so you can do a lot with it, but it also has a kind of iconic sound, a sound that you can, that has a feel. Every sound, there's a 7-minute sound demo of it online. I will link it in the description below. And they are all sounds that sound very different from each other, but they also have the same feel all together. So they all sound not like the same, but feel like the same. So that's exactly what I'm going for. It's like the Strike Fat. It doesn't matter what you tune it to. It always sounds like a Strike Fat. You will probably not be able to recognize the SE-02 as an SE-02, but you will recognize that it's the same instrument. Yeah, that's my hardware setup and my new hardware Love, which it is on a same level with the Peak, but the Peak is a whole other beast. I will do another video for that later on, when I get it probably, because the Peak has this really cool wavetable-ish kind of oscillators, which really make it differ from the standard mono synth or analog synth kind of region. that's where I see them spread out. And it has more than one sound, which is really good for pads. So that's what I'm going for with my hardware. Just a little nudge to let you know what I'm going to do with my hardware stuff, as I'm putting out a lot of songs right now that I not made on this hardware. I have a jam online just to let you hear some stuff from my hardware, and I will try to do 1 or 2 per month just to get the sound setup out there. So I hope you enjoyed this little tour on my idea of my hardware setup. So I will really try to build a signature sound for me with choosing the right setup of hardware. That's what I'm going for. So guys, see you later. I'm George, the Gentleman Rocker.